Welcome, welcome, welcome. As I like to say every week, I'm still Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. And I like to say every week, because I've been doing this for years, once a week, I was licensed to walk upon this earth in 1941, so I'll be 83 in 3 days and 2 weeks. I've been licensed to practice clinical psychology in the state of California since 1974. So it's my privilege, my enjoyment to be in your presence and have this opportunity to share with you insights and lessons and inspirations of a lifetime. The title for today's presentation is Thoughts for Health plus Healthy Foods. Thoughts for Health plus Healthy Foods. There are two types of thoughts. I call them robbers or thieves and givers. The robbers are thoughts that will actually rob you of your health. You have thoughts that diminish your health. You have thoughts that can make you sick, if not immediately, eventually. And sometimes it's immediately. We know, for instance, that anger, chronic anger, can cause cardiovascular events, heart attack and strokes. Then you have the givers, thoughts that will give you health. Thoughts are medicine, just like words are medicine. One of the thoughts that we prescribe to help give you health is this: I hope to come back much stronger than ever. I hope to come back much stronger than ever. That's a derivative of one of the commandments of honor. I hope to come back much stronger than ever. That gives hope. So if you're sick, or you're going through a tough situation, you're stressed, which can damage you. We know stress can not only compromise your cardiovascular system, it can cause ulcers, interfere with your sleep, your digestion. Those are the robbers. And then one way to then have a thought that gives, a thought that's medicine. Thoughts are medicine. I hope to come back much stronger than ever is one. The other, so really you have one category of thoughts I'm calling the robbers. They're like barriers to your health. And the idea is to reduce those. Not overpower them, but to balance them with constructive, honorable thoughts. And as the more you feed yourself constructive, honorable thoughts, the less often the negative thoughts will come. As it is now, without the training I'm going to be talking to you about, 80% of your thoughts will be negative. That's one huge study at the University of Maryland. 80% of people's thoughts are negative. 80% are negative. And 95% of those negative thoughts are ones that keep repeating themselves. Could be about your job, your supervisor, your spouse, whatever the situation is. When you feel hurt or humiliated by somebody, you want revenge, or you're feeling jealous, or you're blaming somebody. Blaming is a toxic thought. So the robbers that rob us of our health are toxic. It's a mental detox. And so the goal is to go through mental detoxification. And the thoughts as medicine, the medicinal thoughts, will help you detoxify that mental detoxification. One way of then, by repeating 3 times a day along with the other commandments of honor, one of the commandments of honor is this: I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. That's medicinal. Why? Because that'll help prevent you from poisoning yourself. Because as we get into blaming, that creates a very toxic thought environment, an angry, toxic thought environment. When we say, I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems, we're saying to ourselves, I co-created this. I'm just not going to be blaming. I'm not going to beat myself up about how I co-created it. But I empower myself by saying that. I'm not just a helpless victim. Almost 99% of the time, we've co-created it. If I co-created it, I can unco-create it. Take responsibility for my portion of this. So my spouse says something that bothered me, and I start yelling, even though she started it. If you add to it, oh, you're co-creating it. You're adding to it. So one way of dealing with that is to apologize. Hey, I'm sorry for I'm adding fuel to the fire. I apologize for that. Your spouse may or may not, probably will not apologize as well, but that apology can be medicinal for you. Because when we apologize, it helps clear out our own negativity. So apologies can be a detoxification. If we're wrong, we say, I'm wrong, I apologize, please forgive me. And even if we're not wrong, we can apologize saying, hey, I'm sorry that upset you. I'm sorry that upset you. You're not saying you did it, but you're sorry the person took it that way. That creates a positive energy flow. And that's what Thoughts is Medicine, that's the intention of it. It creates a positive energy flow. It removes the blockage to your happiness. Removes the blockage to your happiness. And it'll clear up your eyes. You'll be walking around with clear eyes. Because when walking around with toxic thoughts, a little dark cloud comes over the eyes. And you know what I'm talking about. Dark cloud comes over the eyes. People see it. They may not be able to articulate it at the time, but they see that dark cloud, just like you could see it in other people's eyes. They've got something going on. You don't know what it is, but something's not right with that person at that time. They're having toxic thoughts. Otherwise, the eyes are clear. There's a little twinkle in them, a little smile in them. Now, we have the 4 commandments of honor, which will help detoxify your thoughts. One is, I wish you well. I wish you well is a giver of health, but also can be used to detoxify, to neutralize the thief, neutralize the robber of your health. You're getting a thought where you, no good son of a gun, I just want to tell you off what you said that to me. I want to slap you. Well, that's robbing you of your health. And then you don't try to overpower the thought. You balance it with the thought, I wish you well. When you balance it with the thought, the negativity doesn't necessarily go away right away, but it helps release the blockage. You get a more positive energy flow. And when you balance that negative thought, and by the way, when you're getting these negative thoughts, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You never chose to have those toxic thoughts. They just pop into your mind, but don't define who you are. It's based on your family upbringing, societal norms, and genetics. I wish you well. Now, in life, you're going to run into trials and tribulations. It could be medical, emotional, relationship, on the job, with your supervisor, co-worker, legal. You're going to run into that. And you can start getting thoughts of poor me, and this is so unfair, which may very well be unfair. And you start getting really upset. It's poisoning yourself. That is poisoning you. It's bad enough somebody stuck you with a knife, but what most people do, they take the knife and go like that with it. stirring themselves up and saying, I'm going to get you back. I'm so angry at you, blah, blah, blah. And they go on with that negative self-talk. One way to have the knife when stabbing is letting it fall out. I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship. Or I wish you well, and I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship, which is one of the commandments of honor. You know, because you know you're going to achieve more wisdom, more compassion as you suffer. It's impossible to achieve wisdom without suffering. Absolutely impossible. Suffering is the fuel of wisdom. Related to that, a derivative of I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship, which I call the warrior's power thought. A warrior is one who seeks to gain power from hardship, goes into that darkness and suffering, reaches in and pulls out the jewel. A derivative of that is, what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? Some examples I've used in the past, I repeat them. They're good stories, true stories. I had a patient come in, he was a roughneck, worked in the oil field, a big tough guy, all tatted up to his neck. Came in, I could see he wanted to cry. He looked miserable. Just really sad, holding back tears, it was too macho to cry in front of me. He says, Doc, I lost everything. My wife left me. She left me for another man. So I said to him, that's heartbreaking. I said, that's very painful. He said, yeah. And she took my children with her. I don't even know where they are. I haven't seen my children in a couple of months. And I got so stressed about this, trying to find them and stressed. I didn't keep up with the payments of my house. I lost my house. I lost my wife, my children, my house. I lost everything. You can see the darkness over his face, the pain, the toxicity. See, any normal person would find that traumatic. Man to man, I said, I feel compassion for you, but what I told you, what if I told you that the best true story you can tell yourself about that problem that will give you health, restore your health, that will give you nobility, dignity, and honor? I said, really, Doc? He looked at me like he really didn't believe me. He said, what is that? I said, you ready for the healing medicine? He said, yes, here it is. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. And his face slowly just started lighting up. He said, I have gained myself. And you saw the light return to his face, an illumination came to his face. And you could see health coming over him. I have gained myself. As a matter of fact, at the end of the session, he was floating out of the room. Still didn't have his wife, children, or house. Went up to my secretary and said, you know, I lost everything, but I've gained myself. And that was a detoxification. The words were medicine. The thought that I hadn't shared with him was medicine. And he was saying it to himself. Lost everything, but I've gained myself. I had another woman, I had somebody else come in, a lovely lady, came in, she was weeping. She wasn't hiding her tears, just weeping. She said, they shot my son 9 times. He was shot 9 times. He's in critical condition in the hospital, but he's stable. So, oh my God, I said, I have 7 children. That's a parent's nightmare. You can just see the deep anguish and knowing that if that were to continue, she was going to become sick. That would make her sick as a mother who loved her son. And I said, I feel so much, as a human being, I feel so much compassion for you. As a father, I feel so much compassion for you. What if I told you the best true story you can tell yourself about that problem that will give you health, dignity, nobility, and honor? Same thing. She said, yeah, I want to hear it. Please, Dr. Nerenberg, tell me. It's this. They couldn't kill my son. They shot him 9 times. God has a purpose for his life. Couldn't kill my son. They shot him 9 times. God has a purpose for his life. Same thing happened. She took that thought in. Her face lit up. The tears stopped. She said, God does have a purpose for his life. And she went floating around my office at the end of the session. You could just see more health returning to her, mental health, spiritual health, physical health. I saw her the next week. She was still beaming. I said, "Did you tell your son what I said?" She said, "Yes, I did." He smiled when they said, he laughed, and then he smiled when he heard that. So these are just some examples. There are many, many more stories I can tell you. These were a couple of the more dramatic ones. Then one thought that will feed all the other thoughts, whatever constructive thoughts you're having. And this one depends whether you believe in God. There's really two variations. If you don't believe in God, I seek always to serve my highest values. If you believe in God as I do, God, your wish is my only wish. So I'll be using that as we talk now. God, your wish is my only wish. So that one energizes the other thoughts. In fact, I call that the mother commandment. All the commandments of honor, the laws of honor, all derive from that. God, your wish is my only wish. And a derivative of that is, God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. All of us turn to our highest values, turn to God, and during times of tribulation. That's what really drives us to seek out God, to seek out our highest values, to seek out our purpose in life, because we're hurting. You know, if we're just kicking back, taking it easy, it doesn't happen as much. It's the suffering that drives us towards our spiritual identity, because the material world becomes so painful, we seek a spiritual haven, a spiritual safety to escape what's happening to us in the material world. Now, there are what I call the laws of honor. About 11 laws of love, which are some of the laws of honor. Each one of those will give you a positive energy flow, give you life. And if you recite to somebody you genuinely care about, will give that person life. You will receive life from these thoughts, and you will give life. You will receive health, and you will give health through these. I love you. I adore you. I cherish you. I like you. I appreciate you. I respect you. I'll do anything for you. I'm totally committed to you. I'll always be loyal to you. Next to God, you're my first priority always. Just hearing that might be giving you a little illumination. I feel a little illumination saying it. Yeah. So those are thoughts for health. Those are thoughts for health. Now, the other part when we talk to is plus healthy foods. But before I go into plus healthy foods, I'm going to open this up for comments. You can unmute yourself and just please feel free to ask any question, make any comment. People benefit so much from hearing each other. It makes people feel like they belong to a community of people that are like themselves. So it's very important to hear from each other.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Oh, my dear goddaughter, Tracy, good to see you.
There was two things that really stuck out to me. And of course, it has to do with spirituality. But the first thing you said was apologizing is a form of healing. Even if you weren't in the wrong.
That's the key one. That's the key one. Yep. It's really bad about do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? That's exactly it. Yes. Good.
And even in more than one religion, apologizing, it's almost like affirming that it happened so you can move forward. That's
exactly it. But to do this, you have to put honor before pride. If you put pride first, you're going to be lost. Pride, I always say, pride is a cold lover. Yeah, you better put honor first to do that, to achieve that. Yep, you're right.
because it's like if let's say you love someone but you never ever say it out loud, how does it ever become true? Or if for a situation, if there's something that's going on, if you never ever bring it to the surface, how are you going to relieve yourself or the other person from the situation if it's not brought to the surface?
There's a lot. You're so right. The power of the words. People show love to each other all the time through actions and deeds, which is the main way. But the words themselves release a health and have a detoxifying effect for ourselves and the other person and strengthen the bond. And sometimes if somebody's holding that love down and not expressing it, it actually becomes a stressor. You have that love, but you're not expressing it to the person. That can become a stressor. So the love has a tremendous healing effect. It's really one of the most powerful elixirs, the most powerful medicines known to humanity. Yes.
And the other thing that you just said is our suffering. It's our suffering that drives us to our spiritual identity.
Yes. Without that, we're just having a good time, kicking back, watching a movie, eating pizza, whatever. Yeah. You're not too ignited to search for the deeper truths of life. It takes some discomfort. The material world is not what it was cracked up to be. It's filled with this disappointment and betrayals. And so you're looking to somehow transcend feeling engulfed in a very limited perspective. And the only way you can find healing is to expand the perspective where you can look at this other than a painful perspective. There are ways of looking at things that are true, but extremely painful. So when we look, the best true story I can tell myself about this problem, the key word is true. We could expand that picture in the way that I described in those two examples. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not till, we as people, it's not until we start suffering, for the most part, for us to really dig, like, okay, it's like almost that when you're kind of at your wit's end, like, okay, what has to change? What is it that has to change for me to grow, or for things to change, for the situation to change, for things to get better? What needs to happen? Because I'm suffering.
Well, that and even more evolved because you say, what do I need to change about myself? That hones it in more, so I don't have to keep going through this, because it's harder to change out of circle. It's hard enough to change ourselves, much less trying to change that other person or change society. What do I have to need to change in myself so I can go beyond this and not repeat this again? Exactly. That's so right. And it's suffering that takes us there. And that's what this life is about, is developing the attributes of wisdom, compassion, love. Developing that, ultimately living with honor, is the purpose of life, family and honor. Exactly. It drives us to seek our purpose in life, because it's saying, having this pizza is good, but it's not enough. Having this car is great, but it's not enough. Having this house is great, but it's not enough. So you say, why? I'm looking for something else. And because it's an emptiness. You got the money you went after, you got the house you went after, and then you go, is that all there is? I mean, it's good to, aspire to things, but at some point, it wasn't enough. And that sense, and that's an emptiness when we realize that. And that's what drives us to seek a true fulfillment, which is in a higher nature. We have the lower nature, the animal nature, the material world, and the divine nature, the spiritual nature, the honor nature. So really, this life is really a matter of coming to identify more and more with our spiritual honor nature. The animal nature is powerful. It's there. We have to respect that, but we don't want to be a slave to our lower nature. One of the things I've said before, we're all a slave to something, so choose your master well. We're all a slave to something, so choose your master well. You could be a slave to a cigarette, to sex, to food, alcohol, to drugs, or you can be a slave to honor, slave to the will of God, slave to your highest values. We're all slaves to something. So choose your master well. I remember the time that came to me. Yes, excellent. I'm so happy you're saying these things, and that stimulates me to expand on it. I'm grateful for that. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Oh, is that you, Nancy? I just some writing in the middle of my screen. Yes, good to see you, Nancy.
Yes, hi. I agree. I feel like uncomfortable situations encourage you to grow, because there's only one way you can go, just, go back up. And I agree with what you said as far as not holding anything inside, because then you become bitter and you can hurt yourself in the long run.
Exactly.
And and also I feel like it's really important for you to forgive yourself for, whatever the situation is.
I wish myself well. Yeah, I wish you well, but I wish me well too. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yes.
Nancy, I've watched you do this. I've watched the walk that you walk the walk. I've watched you go through some really, really, really hard times. And then I've watched you achieve peace and some tranquility in the midst of chaos. I've watched you do it. I mean, all of that. I've watched you do that, Nancy. To me, that's amazing. That's like a miracle. You were able to do that.
Just like you said, it's just so that I can find peace within, because then otherwise there would be a lot of chaos. So just forgiving the situation and forgiving myself.
Wow, that's so powerful. I'm going to send you this video when it's done. And it's something when Nathan gets older, you can share this with him, because it's a good thing to learn this from his mom. Mm-hmm. Absolutely beautiful. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. This is Emily.
Hi, Emily. Yes, Emily.
How are you?
Good. Tell me what's on your thought. What's in your thoughts?
So I definitely can agree with that as well. Ever since I've left work, I've been going to church every week just because I felt so broken. I just felt like, I just needed to tap into that spirituality part of me that I've been neglecting because, I was so focused on work. I worked on Sundays and, it's been so helpful for me to go every single week.
That's, by the way, that's a universal problem that people have. They're so tired and so preoccupied with taking care of their responsibilities that a lot of times that does fall by the wayside. Exercise also falls by the wayside. A lot of things fall by the wayside.
Yes, both those things definitely did in the last 2 years. And it affected my overall sense of being. And I'm trying right now to get that back. And I was just thinking, I went to the gym today as well. And I was thinking when I was doing some cardio, I was like, you know what? Like, I put all of this to the side for a couple of years, like going to church. And,
you put your health to the side. You put God to the side. I mean, those are two most important things in life. A lot of people have to put their families aside to do it. But God bless you. I mean, you did amazing.
Like I've done all of that.
But you've done amazing work for people. You work with the honored elders, and you've done amazing, amazing things. But it's out of balance. Now you're getting back in balance. I'm sure you were headed for health issues with that.
Oh, absolutely. I could feel it. I was broken down. I was thinking that today too. I was like, I'm gaining everything back that I just let go. And
now, but I want to say something. You're not gaining everything back because you're going to come back stronger than ever. You're not going to be like you were. You're not going to be as good as new, as good as old. You're going to become a new being in this journey that you're on now.
Thank you for pointing that out, because yes, that's what I want. I've learned a lot from these past situations and what not to do again and what really matters. Yes, I want to pay my bills. Yes, I want to feel secure, but there's other things that are more important. And I need more balance.
There used to be a saying, take a moment to smell the roses, smell the coffee. There's a lot of expressions for that. Taking a deep breath. One of the laws of honor, I'm here now, right now. Enjoy the moment. Let's take a second, feel the smile within. The moment can be lovely. It can be. And it's not like I'm rejoicing over a particular event. I'm just rejoicing in being in the moment, being here with all of you. And I have a glimpse of happiness, a glimpse of contentment in being here. Just taking this moment. Thank you. Very good. Thank you, Emily. I'm grateful to you for all your contributions to the movement.
Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Emily.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg.
Yes.
It's Anel.
Janelle.
Hi, Doctor. So I just wanted to share that because I agree with everyone, especially just the last person that spoke up. My husband, I think, is a good example that suffering, brings you closer to spirituality because he lost his job where he worked for more than 10 years. And that was a big hit for him. And since that happened, he's been like on fire for God. And he's been going to church every weekend, even when me and the girls, don't want to go because we're tired or whatever it may be. He still goes, right? He has made that commitment to where he even got baptized, I think 2 weekends ago. So, so I know that's very true.
So cool.
And it does happen.
So would you say that losing his job was the best thing that could have happened to him?
It doesn't feel that way, but I agree because he's definitely closer to God. But
I've seen that many times. I've seen, a matter of fact, I have patients who lost their job, felt betrayed by it, and I tell them, you're going to tell me within a month that's the best thing that could have happened to you. And every one of them comes back with it was the best thing that ever could happen. It's the best thing that could have happened to him. Best thing.
Yes.
I mean, look, it's a loss, it's humiliating, all the rest, but it was the best thing.
Yes. So I just wanted to add that on because it, for him, it definitely is the best thing.
That's a beautiful thing to add because a lot of people who are with us right now are having a lot of work stress, want to quit or been terminated and going through that. So it's very timely what you're bringing up. And give my respect to your husband for what he's achieving.
Yes, I will definitely let Ray know. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Doctor. Yeah.
And now, always good to hear from you. And now, let Ray. No,
and
Ray.
I love your haircut, by the way. You look very lovely.
Well, thank you. My wife has given me haircuts for the last 30 years, and she just cut it yesterday. Thank you. I'll tell her you said that. When I get the haircut, it takes 10 to 20 years off my look. Yeah.
Yeah, you look good, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, Anel. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Doctor, I wanted to say something.
Who is this, please?
This is Angel.
Oh, Angel. Good. Thanks, Angel.
Hey, just to piggyback off Emily and Janelle to just call. I mean, as far as I've been going to church since the last 2 Sundays, I mean, it feels good. It's having a break. I mean, out of the norm, But it's my norm. That's the reason why I'm right here right now, just stressed out.
Well, most of us in America having these jobs is a very disabling situation. I've had people who said, I haven't seen my parents. They were in Mexico. They said, I haven't seen my parents in 9 years because he was working all the time, couldn't get over to see them. Then he finally said, I can't take it anymore, pulled him on disability. And for the first time on Christmas, he went home to see his parents and his relatives. And, the family is healing. That's health-giving. That's life-giving. It's love. The healing effect of love. That's another expression of love, being with family. And there's something about, many people, a lot of our people make good money, but they gave their lives up for it. They gave up their lives. They don't see the children. I've had a lot of my people, when they're out on disability, say, my greatest pleasure is taking my kids to school, picking them up. Having time out of the struggle to survive, time out itself is very healing, very healthy. Yeah, we all need that. Every normal human being needs that, and to some extent, to be having that one way or another. I could see where that'd be good for you. And you're going back to church. You're looking to strengthen your relationship with God, with our Creator.
Yes, sir.
That's meaningful. That's eternal. The material world matters a lot, but it's temporary. You can lose it. It can be taken from you. The economy can shut down. But to the extent that we're able to involve ourselves with the eternal, that's extremely healing. Eternal in whatever way makes sense to you. Whatever makes sense to you. Being involved with the eternal, not just a transitory aspect of the material world. Excellent, Angel.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to the second part, because the title of today's presentation is Thoughts for Health plus Healthy Foods. We're talking about healthy foods. I can sum it up in 3 words. Beans, greens, and berries. Beans, greens, and berries. Beans, greens, and berries. That'll take you the distance. There are other caveats and nuances we need to go into, but as a foundation for your eating, those will give you life. Those will prevent illnesses. For instance, broccoli is the king of the vegetables, help prevent different cancers. Pomegranate juice helps prevent different cancers as well. And it's good for, it releases nitrous oxide from the endothelial cells on the blood vessels to lower blood pressure, and also will increase, for the men, will increase your testosterone. My testosterone is very high because I take olive oil, I lift heavy weights, and I take pomegranate juice. At 80 years old, my testosterone was higher than the average 20-year-old. It was 876. That's very high. And I don't take steroids. Beans, greens, and berries. The beans, lima beans, garbanzo beans, lentils, black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans. My wife makes a huge pot for me. It's always beautiful smell. She puts them in spices and herbs, turmeric and garlic and onions. I have it every day. Big 1 or 2 big servings of beans every day. And then the berries, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. You want, in all the foods, you want to get a rainbow, a variety of colors, because they all have different phytonutrients. The phytonutrients are key. Then, of course, you want to have your probiotics. Kefir, yogurt, fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, or you can take probiotic pills, because that affects the biodome, the microdome of the gut. It affects your mental health, your physical health. In fact, there are particular probiotics, these bacteria, that are good for your liver, some for the heart, some for the gastrointestinal tract, some for the skin. You name it, there are quite a variety. The main ones that people need are bifidus and acidophilus, but there are many other these little creatures that live within us, and there's trillions of them. There's as much of them as there are of us within ourselves, and that's what we need for life. When you get antibiotics for an infection, it kills them off, so you got to make sure you're getting probiotics when you're going through an illness. Then you want, all disease starts with inflammation. All disease. That can be measured as CRP in your blood work, C-reactive protein. So you want to have, fish oil will help as an anti-inflammatory. Fish, particularly with high omega-3s like salmon, fish oil. And then also curcumin, garlic, ginger. These are just some of the ones. In fact, if you have these every day, garlic, ginger, and curcumin is the main healing property of turmeric. That'll fight your inflammation. All disease starts with inflammation, whether it's cancer, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, all starts with inflammation. Then, of course, vitamin D. When you're doing your blood work, there's a big difference between normal and optimal. For example, vitamin D. Above 30 is considered normal. Optimal is 50 to 80. In fact, if your blood work is less than 50, you're going to have a shorter lifespan. So you want to take at least 5,000 IUs a day of vitamin D. Now, if you're developing plaque on the arteries, which I've done over the years, garlic and lecithin will take off that plaque. And then, of course, you want to stabilize the plaque. Pycnogenol and gotu-kola, you can get as a pill, arterial protect is one such product. It'll stabilize the plaque because it's the rupturing of the plaque that causes strokes and heart attacks. You can write your omega-3s. People with the most omega-3s live longer. You can get it from walnuts, fish oil, flaxseed, chia seed, hemp seed, so you can get it from plants, and you can get it from fish oil as well. These are some of the basics that you want to be taking. Of course, you want to get your vitamin C, oranges, or squeeze a lemon into water. You want to be also detoxifying your body. A good way in the morning to detoxify your liver and gallbladder, get a cup of warm water on an empty stomach, squeeze 1/4 of a fresh lemon, a pinch of cayenne pepper, a tablespoon of olive oil. Take that down and detoxify you. That's one of the great ways for detoxification. But then you have also milk thistle as a supplement that will detoxify your liver as well. Our organs, particularly the kidneys and liver, are exposed to a lot of toxins because they're constantly pulling out the toxins. So we want to detoxify that. And you want to either not drink alcohol at all or very little, because even small amounts can cause cancer. That was a very surprising finding to me. Very surprising. So these are healthy foods. Now, when you're taking the supplements, those are really foods, all natural, but they're unnatural concentrations of natural foods. So you take it for a while, then you got to stop for a day or two. You got to know how to work that. Beans, greens, and berries. Let's go back to basics. Then you can say, well, should I eat meat? Should I eat this? Whatever else you want to eat. I'm not saying don't eat meat, but if you're going to have meat, try to have grass-fed, organic meats, eggs. You want to have free range, preferably organic. So I'm not saying what else to have or not have. You want to reduce how much processed foods you have. You want to have natural foods as much as possible. But if you have a foundation of beans, greens, and berries as a foundation, you're going to do very, very well. And maybe it'd be a cheat day. I mean, I have a cheat day where I have half a piece of cake once a week, a cappuccino. I mean, I do enjoy that. But maybe once a week, I do that. But for me, I'm 83, so for me, staying alive is a full-time job for me and for my wife, keeping me alive. Keep in mind that if you feed yourself the right thoughts, the right foods, the right air, with exercise, absolutely essential, then the lifespan for the human body is 120. Most of us destroy ourselves before that. I mean, just go in any supermarket, watch what people are putting in their food baskets. You'll see that they're going to shorten their lives with that. Or look what if you go to a restaurant and see what people are eating, you know they're killing themselves. I mean, they're choosing taste and momentary enjoyment over lifespan and health span. People say, well, you got to die sometime. I want to enjoy my life. Yeah, but you're lucky if you just drop dead suddenly of a heart attack. That's lucky. Most people don't. The way out could be really, really difficult. And most people who abuse themselves when they have that cancer or that long, drawn-out death, they regret it. They'll just tell you it wasn't worth it. The smoking, the booze, the toxic foods, the wrong thinking and lifestyle. They'll tell you it wasn't worth it, but it's too late. They're on their way out, and they say, gee, I live my life over again. This is not a good way to end. So by you following this now at your younger ages, you're going to avoid a lot of problems. Well, we're open again to anybody that would like to make a comment about the second section on healthy foods.
One of the things I'd like you to talk a little bit more about is the connection between mental diseases and gut health.
Well, gut health has been tied to mental disease, Alzheimer's, all aspects of health, cancers, liver disease, kidney disease. The gut health, these bacteria, the friendly bacteria. Now, if you have a predominance of harmful bacteria have a problem. You want to get a good ratio of the healthy bacteria, such as Acidophilus and Bifidus, to dominate and colonize within ourselves. And then when you feed that, or you see yourself fiber, it's a prebiotic, which just keeps feeding those healthy bacteria to multiply. And it definitely affects mood. I mean, it's well established now. It's a shocking how much is tied to the gut and the microbiome, the critters that are all throughout us. So we're not alone. We have all these friendly bacteria inside, a symbiotic relationship between the human and these little critters that are in us.
Anxiety and depression related to gut health too.
Anxiety, depression, he was mentioning that tied to gut health. He was always sending me articles and things about gut health, new discoveries. He's a big drinker of the kefir. I like to drink some goat kefir I get at Trader Joe's, but and I take probiotic pills. Good point. Very good point. By the way, fish oil will help reduce depression, mild and moderate depression, taking fish oil 3 times a day. That has the omega-3s in it. Anybody else have any comments or questions that you'd like to make or ask?
Do you think that sugar is just as dangerous as alcohol?
Sugar is just as dangerous as alcohol. Sugar is definitely just as dangerous as alcohol. You don't want to be developing insulin resistance. That means that the insulin that's coming from your pancreas can't deliver in the sugars in your bloodstream, so it stays in your blood, which damages end organs. It makes you more prone to cancer, cardiovascular disease. So if you have to take a drug for that, you want to get your fasting glucose level. Optimal is 75 to 85. Normal is considered under 100, but 95 to 100, you're more prone to Alzheimer's. In fact, Alzheimer's in some literature is referred to as diabetes type 3. Type 1, which you're born with, typically type 2, that's adult onset, and type 3, that's related to the sugars. Very, very dangerous for us. And so many of the foods in America in our supermarket have a lot of sugar, a lot of sodium. So you want to reduce the sodium intake, preferably under 25 milligrams a day, and sugar for sodium, and then you want to keep the sugars down. Now, something that's as dangerous as smoking is having a sedentary lifestyle. You're just sitting there. You want to make sure you get up, walk, try to get in your 10,000 steps, do some cardiovascular, do some weight-bearing exercise, but definitely get up and move around every half hour. Sedentary lifestyle is now considered a very high health risk. It'll rob you of your health. That's one of the robbers of your health, sitting there. So movement will keep you alive. Movement will keep you alive. Absolutely. Great questions, Hugh. Good points. Well, it's been my pleasure to be here with you, presenting Thoughts for Health plus Healthy Foods. Thank you for the privilege of being with you, for sharing my thoughts and hearing your thoughts. Thank you.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity, from strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.